Hello, friends. This is the Netarts Friends Church podcast. We are Jesus people, Kingdom of God people, welcoming, yearning, sharing. And we're glad you're connecting here with us. We'd love to connect in person as well. If you're inclined to support this podcast or for more information, just hop on over to netartsfriends.org. That's netartsfriends.org. Let's jump into today's sermon. Finding something real. Is there anything more going on in this universe than meaningless particles and atoms just bouncing into one another and colliding and hurtling through space? If the rule and the reign of God is actually a thing at all in this universe, how do you know it? What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? It's not only a question that people gathered in worship spaces on Sunday mornings are asking. This is a question that people ask who do not darken church doors on Sunday, but instead head down to the river to barbecue and have a party with friends and relatives. It's a question that people ask who had too much to drink at the bar last night and wish that it all felt better than it does. It's a question that people ask who spent way too much time at the hospital lately. It's a question that people ask who are exhausted and run ragged and wondering if any of their work even matters. It's a question that people ask when their hope is dwindling. It isn't a one and done question. It's a whole life question. What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? The primary message of Jesus was the good news of the kingdom of God. Jesus said that the kingdom of God is among you, it's within you, it is fullness of life, it's here now. It's not yet here. It's in your midst. It's hidden. It's advancing. It's coming. And anyone encountering those words from a church pew or the river or the bar or the hospital or their work setting, they just want Jesus to stop talking in riddles. Like, just come out and define the kingdom of God. When God becomes real to you, what is it like? But Jesus instead tells us stories, parables, that do something different. They do not define the kingdom of God, they describe experiences that bring us to connect with our ordinary life. And we are invited to use our eye muscles and our hands and our imaginations and our faith. And we look and we act, and maybe, just maybe, we hope, and maybe, just maybe, we see. So this brings us to our gospel passage today, Luke chapter 13, 18 through 21. Then Jesus asked, "What is the kingdom of God like? What shall I compare it to? It's like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds perched in its branches." Again he asked, "What shall I compare the kingdom of God to? It is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough." What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? Well, one part of the experience, according to Jesus' parable, is that it's like having something in your hand that feels like nothing. A mustard seed is barely a millimeter across. It takes like 750 of them to weigh just 1 gram. And yeast, peasant's yeast in the ancient world, it's just a small ball of old, raw, fermenting dough that's left over from the last batch of bread. It's nothing. Do you know that feeling of smallness in this world, just one mustard seed in a garden. My life is too little. The world feels so big, and what you have to offer just feels so small. Do you know that feeling of oldness in this world? Just a tiny lump of old dough in 60 pounds of flour, which isn't only a comment about your age, it's a feeling about the impossibility of keeping up or meaning anything. You're just yesterday's news. Do you ever look at peeling paint or worn out shoes and everything, and it just feels impossible to keep up? What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? Well, who knows why, but in the experience, you offer your smallness and your oldness anyways. For some reason, you decide not to just stay holed up, isolated, cloistered in a holy huddle, bubble wrapped. You offer your smallness. You offer your oldness into this big, wide world. The mustard seed is cast into the garden. The ball of yeast is hidden into the dough. You become involved in the community that appears right in front of you, which might be coworkers or neighbors, might be a drama club, a game night group, a sports team. And and yes, some people engage this kind of community, these places, they engage it for purposes of consumption and entertainment and basically the kingdom of me. But within your heart is an offering. You walk into your workplace, your community with a different feeling inside of you, which is, I don't have much to offer, but here I am. What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? There's a laying down, there's a self-sacrificing, there's an other-oriented experience that goes on. Mustard was grown for medicinal purposes in the ancient world. It was grown as a condiment to bring a good taste. 60 pounds of flour, well, that wasn't a batch that someone would make for their family. That was enough for 100 to 150 people. And in a world without refrigeration, you would only make that much leavened bread if you were making bread for others, having a banquet, having a party. For you, in your own unique way, part of God becoming real to you is your experience of realizing, discovering that your heart wants to live for something more than the kingdom of me, more than my consumption. You find your thoughts about others, bringing health and shelter and wholeness to the lives of others and putting a good taste in their mouth. Have you ever needed a story that told you that a little bit actually does go a long way for others? Have you ever hoped to believe that the good that you offer might actually be making more difference than you think? What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? You make a shift somewhere in there from focusing on the ability to make everything, and you start looking for growth. Now, we're immersed in a society that acts like we make everything. We hardly even notice how often we talk about how we make things. We make friends, we make meaning, we make time, we make money, we make a living, we make love, we make everything. And it's easy to start believing that it's true, that we do make everything. Jesus doesn't tell a story about making. He tells a story of growth. Yeah, it starts with something in your hand, a seed, an old lump of dough, but that something goes away. It becomes something else completely after it's hidden within the world. The world becomes something new. The dough is transformed into something new. You see, Jesus told stories about the kingdom of God as if it is something we participate in. We bear witness to the kingdom of God. We announce it. We seek it. We plant seeds. We knead dough. We participate in the mystery of the growth of the kingdom. We receive it. But we never make the kingdom of God. We don't build the kingdom of God. That Bible verse doesn't exist. You can't force yeast to do what it does. You can't rush the fermentation process. And if you try and force it, you just end up with a gross taste in your mouth. And yes, history is full of people who tried to force the kingdom of God and tried to build the kingdom of God, and it put a gross taste into the mouth of the world. Stories of growth are stories of something happening that is outside of your control, beyond your planning. There's a mysterious life force. Things unfold that you could not make unfold because they grow. And sometimes that requires patience. Jesus seemed to intentionally confuse his botany here to make the point. So Jesus says a mustard seed grew and it became a tree. But mustard seeds don't become trees. They become bushes. Like they only grow to 8 to 9 feet tall, maybe 10 feet. If Jesus wanted to tell a story about a seed that becomes a tree, why didn't he tell a story about like planting a seed of a cedar of Lebanon or something? That's how you make something big and dramatic and impressive. Why did Jesus tell a story of a mustard seed growing to become a tree? Part of this experience of God becoming real to you is realizing, oh, there is growth that's happening. There's growth that's present. I could not have made this happen. I didn't make this. You realize that it's not only the world that's becoming something new, you realize you are becoming something new. The character of the whole, the entire thing is changing. And it's not because of force, it's not because of control, it's not because of making something happen. It's through something else, something within you and beyond you, something here, but not yet here. What is the experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? You come to believe in a world where love lasts. Have you ever needed a story that said that the good that you've been a part of in your life, a part of offering, is not meaningless? That the love for God, the love for neighbor that you've offered cannot simply be torn down and boxed up and sold at an estate sale, dismantled, eradicated. After you die, after your body is in the ground, after your ashes are scattered, does all the love and the goodness that was a part of your life just go away? Jesus taught a kind of love that was disruptive in his world. It was a love for God and a love for neighbor and brother and sister and enemy, and it reached beyond the categories. Jesus called a group of disciples who represented opposing ends of the spectrum in his world, religious and political factions that were as highly polarized and opposed as the factions in our world today, tax collectors and zealots in a group together. Jesus invited these people to walk together, to share meals together, to remove the old worn out labels and dog whistles and antagonisms, and learn how to love their enemies in real life. And that kind of love can cause people to lash out. It's a kind of love that got Jesus killed. The thing about mustard seeds and yeast is that some people in Jesus' day saw mustard as invasive. They would never plant it. The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. For some people, that's not good news. They wanted to chop mustard down. And yeast. Yeast sometimes conjured up images of impurity throughout the Old Testament. The ancient Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote about how once mustard was sown, it was almost impossible to get rid of. The seeds would germinate very quickly, and if you tried to chop the thing down, all you were really doing was spreading those tiny seeds. We all live through setbacks and through struggle and conflict, and we experience our own version of doing our best to be a person of love, and sometimes feeling like we're being chopped at. Someone's trying to chop us down. And sometimes we become discouraged and depressed and wonder, was it all for naught? We wonder if the good and the love that we offered can somehow be chopped down, eradicated, made meaningless. Maybe we should give up on the whole thing. Maybe you should just live for the kingdom of you. The Apostle Paul says, love never fails. Where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be still. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. But now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Pastor theologian Greg Boyd sums it up. Love is the only thing that's eternal. It's the only thing that never began and will never end, because God is love. We get eternalized only to the degree that we are aligned with that love, because everything else will be burned away. So the only thing that matters to anything is love. What is this experience like when God becomes real to you? To what can we compare it? Part of that experience is coming to believe in a world where that love will last. A world where even if that love is chopped down, the seeds are spreading. Even if it looks dead, it is rising somewhere else. Have you ever dreamed of being part of a community where everyone finds a sheltering place to belong, where there is bread for all, but simultaneously felt discouraged and depressed by the immensity of the need and the amount of opposition and the smallness of what you had to offer? Jesus described the mustard bush becoming a nesting place for the birds of this world, which ancient Jewish listeners most likely heard as a symbol of the nations of the world, a place of shelter for this wide world's infinite variety of odd ducks and black swans, ugly ducklings, spring chickens, mother hens, wise old owls. Jesus described the growth of a small handful of peasants' yeast becoming bread for the world, bread for a party, for a banquet. Every seed, every small handful of dough is offered into the world with a dream, with a deep hope, the renewal of all creation. A new heaven and earth, a heavenly banquet, its resurrection hope. May your kingdom come. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Is there anything more going on in this universe than meaningless particles and atoms just bouncing into one another and colliding, hurtling through space? So I bring this reflection question to you to ask yourself, to ask Jesus, where's the yeast that's already hidden? It's already bubbling. It's already oozing. What are the seeds in your life already offered, already germinating? What is it that's already growing and already changing? How might this show you the very real rule and reign of God? What is the kingdom of God like? To what shall we compare it? It's like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his garden. It grew and became a tree. The birds perched in its branches. Again, Jesus asked, to what shall I compare the kingdom of God? It's like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. One final reflection question. This was a discussion question for us in our Sunday gathering. What part of this parable of Jesus are you connecting with today? What part feels the most real and poignant for you today? Thank you for joining us for a Sunday sermon from Netart's Friends Church. We hope you'll join us soon for one of our in-person worship gatherings. For more information, hop on over to netartsfriends.org. God's peace be with you, friends.